evening, residents of Everett, Washington. I would like to call to order the Everett City Council meeting of June 7th, 2023. The City Council meets all requirements of the State of Washington Open Public Meetings Act. Community members are welcome to join either in person, remote via Zoom, or by calling in. For those who wish to participate in a future meeting via Zoom, you'll find the instructions to register for public comment on the City of Everett website under the City Council Department. Please note, we do not allow comments on any kind of campaigning, whether for or against ballot measures or candidates running for office. We also do not accept comments focused on personal matters that are unrelated to city business. Clerk, will you please take the roll this evening?
Mayor Franklin?
Here.
Councilmember Ryan?
Here.
Councilmember Schwab?
Here.
Councilmember Fossey? Here. Councilmember Zarlingo?
Here.
Councilmember Vogely? Here. Councilmember Toohey?
Here.
President Stonecipher?
Here. Council Vice President Toohey, would you please lead us in the flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And Councilmember Zarlingo, would you please read the land acknowledgement?
Certainly. This council wishes to acknowledge the original inhabitants of this place, the Tohops people, and their successors, the Tulalip tribes. Since time immemorial, they have hunted, fished, gathered on, and taken care of these lands and waters. We respect their sovereignty, their right to self-determination, and honor their sacred spiritual connection with the land and the water. We will strive to be honest about our past mistakes and bring about a future that includes their people, stories, and voices to form a more just and equitable society.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of the May 31st meeting?
Councilmember Ryan moves approval of the May 31st meeting.
Second.
Minutes.
We have a motion and a second for approval of the minutes. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Ryan?
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab?
Yes.
Councilmember Fossey? Abstain. Councilmember Zarlingo?
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely?
Yes.
Vice President Toohey?
Yes.
President Stonecipher?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening, everybody. I wanted to first take a moment to recognize Senator John McCoy, who passed away. I believe he was one of the first members of the Tulalip tribes to be elected to the state legislature. You know, I think we all knew him, and he represented our community really well. It was an honor to be able to work alongside of him, and he will be very missed, and I just wanted to share my deepest sympathies with his family, friends, and loved ones. And then next, I'd love to welcome 9 new firefighters. So Chief DeMarco, do you want to come forward and introduce everybody?
Thank you, Mayor, Council members, Dave DeMarco, Fire Department. Tonight we have with us the 9 newest members of the Everett Fire Department who are about a week and a half away from joining their peers out on the street. So they're at about week 22 of academy and post-academy and all of the stuff that they need to do. I'm just going to give you a very brief bio on each one. And so when I read your name, just step up so they can see who I'm talking about. So first tonight is Gina Anderson. Gina was born in Seattle and raised in Linwood. She currently lives right next to Payne Field. Her family consists of her mother, her brother, a slew of friends that she considers family. She received her associate's degree from Edmonds Community College and has 6 months of part-time fire service with the Marysville Fire District. Her hobbies include slow-pitch softball, soccer, both indoor and outdoor, volleyball, camping, riding her motorcycle, fishing, and hanging out with her 5-year-old poodle, who is her world. Welcome to the Everett Fire Department.
Thank you.
Next is Matthew Baker. Matthew was raised in Lake Stevens and currently lives in Woodinville. He'll be marrying his fiancée at the end of September. Matt joined the Army out of high school and served as an infantryman. He then attended Boise State University and earned a degree in accounting and finance. In his free time, he enjoys golfing, backpacking, and happy hours. Welcome to the Everett Fire Department.
Thanks, sir.
Next is Caleb Dewey. Caleb grew up in Michigan and currently lives at Green Lake, and he is engaged. Caleb went to college for exercise science and performance nutrition and then worked as a fitness trainer. In the summer, he likes to cycle, both mountain and road cycling, and golf. And in the winter, he likes to snowboard and ski. Caleb, welcome to the Everett Fire Department. Next is Dylan Holbrook. Dylan currently lives in Lake Stevens with his fiancée, but grew up in Port Townsend. Prior to coming to Everett, Dylan had some part-time experience with North County Fire, but spent most of his professional life in the construction industry. On his off days, he enjoys hiking, biking, fishing, and golfing with his friends. Dylan, welcome to the Everett Fire Department. Next is Robert Lee III. He grew up in Duval and lives in South Everett with his fiancee. Rob earned his EMT through King County and worked on private ambulance with TriMed Ambulance and then Northwest Ambulance. He comes to us from the City of Moses Lake Fire Department. Rob enjoys snowboarding in the winter, going out shooting, camping, barbecuing, gardening, and playing video games. Robert, welcome to the Everett Fire Department. Thank you. Next is Cody Peebler. Cody was born in Renton and raised in Covington. Did I get him out of order?
No, he just had a ways to go.
Oh, sorry. He currently lives in Bonnie Lake with his wife and newborn son. He went to Renton Technical College for HVAC. He worked in the HVAC and building maintenance industry for 9 years and then decided to make a huge career change and join the fire service. Cody enjoys being outdoors, camping, biking, and hanging out with his family and friends. Cody, welcome to the fire department. Thanks. Next is Drew Oatkin. Drew's from Bellingham, where he was born and has lived, except for the last 5 years, in Las Vegas. He has a 5-year-old golden doodle named Griffey. He went to the University of Washington and Western Washington University and graduated with a marketing degree. His most recent work experience includes commercial fishing in Bristol Bay. Drew's hobbies include disc golf, going to the gym, watching sports, and his favorite sport to watch is MMA. Welcome to the Everett Fire Department. Next up is Sarah Robinson. Sarah lives in Everett but grew up in Tacoma. She graduated from the University of Washington, Seattle with a degree in biology. She has previous medical experience working in a hospital operating room and as an EMT for a little over a year. She enjoys spending time with her friends and family, reading, and spending time outdoors doing things like running, skiing, and snowboarding. Sarah, welcome to the Everett Fire Department. And last but not least, Richard Weiscarver. Richard grew up in Seattle and currently lives in South Everett by Martha Lake. He's been married for 12 years and they have 2 children. Rick went straight into the Marine Corps after high school and spends his time playing with his kids and riding dirt and adventure bikes. Richard, welcome to the Everett Fire Department. Thank you. And if it's all right with council, we'll come by and say hello to you all. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we got those ladies' bathrooms put in.
I saw 2 of them this week at the post office. They came up with that's all that was in there.
Thank you, Chief, and welcome to our firefighters. That's a big group. Great to see. And then tonight, I'd also like to ask for your concurrence for an appointment to our Diversity Advisory Board, Jennifer Cole, for position 6. If I could have your,
Oh, yes, absolutely.
thank you.
Do I hear a second?
It's for Jen Cole, everybody.
Seconded.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second for the appointment. Any questions or comments before we take the roll? Councilmember Vogely.
Nothing to do with any of this. Is there hand sanitizer out there somewhere? Because there used to be some up. Hey, all right, thank you.
can pass it around.
And the comment having to do with this is, yay for Jen Cole, because I know her and love her. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Ryan?
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab?
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse? Yes. Councilmember Zarlingo?
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely?
Yes.
Vice President Tui?
Yes.
President Sonsifer?
Yes.
And then finally, it's good to be back. I missed you guys. I think I missed 4 council meetings. I've been very busy this last month, traveling to DC mainly. I spent 9 days there on my first trip as part of mayors and CEOs for U.S. housing investment, and we advocated to place addressing mental illness and housing and homelessness as the top domestic priorities, and we were actually quite successful. We got the U.S. Conference of Mayors to set that as their top priority too in a resolution. So, and had great meetings with our delegation and others. Also advocated for funding for the city. We are applying for as much money as we possibly can. And so met with, U.S. Forest Department, met with the Community Ordering Policing Department, the Department of Justice, HUD, USICH, and a bunch of other acronyms that I can't remember, and members of the White House. And then I also joined Economic Alliance for part of their fly-in, and I came back. And then I went back just a week later, and together with Community Development Director Julie Willey, that trip was sponsored by NYU and Georgetown Law as part of the policing reform cohort that I was a part of. And we got to learn about how to develop an alternative response, first responder response program. And so we're very hopeful that we'll get the funding from Senator Murray. $4.5 million is what we asked for. And so we learned a lot to help us develop that program. So it was a really valuable trip. And then I also was there together with Everett Police Department and Officer Rocha's family to honor Officer Rocha during Police Week. And now he is memorialized on the wall of fallen officers in Washington, D.C. And so that was a really special experience, and it really, I think, helped our team find some closure and healing. So anyway, it's good to be back, and I put a lot more details in the council digest, so when you get a chance to read that. So thank you.
Thank you. And we're moving on to public comment. I have one form that I will call forward, and then we'll see if there's anybody else who'd like to speak. First up is Mary Rollins. Mary, you know the drill.
Hi, Mary Rollins, Everett, District 2. I appreciate the mayor speaking about John McCoy. I wanted to just give my own testimony to him, a friend for many years. And oftentimes, folks like my son, some of you know him, he's 40. I take full-time care of him, except when I'm at council, of course. But John McCoy was a fierce advocate for the developmentally disabled community. And I will always remember him for that, among other things. But he often seemed a little brusque, but he was always listening and paying attention and trying to do the best for his constituents. So he's in my heart, and I hope there's some way we can honor him down the road. I don't know, a scholarship or something like that, but I just wanted everybody to know how I felt today and use the rest of my time with a little 10 seconds of quiet for him. Thank you.
Thank you, and good evening, Christina. Thank you for joining us tonight and helping us get our meeting managed. Do we have any other people signed up for public comment this evening?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, great. We will move on to our council comments and liaison reports, starting with Councilmember Ryan.
Sure thing. Good evening, everybody. Hope folks are enjoying the heat more than I am. I just wanted to give a few reminders of some fun events coming up this week. Today, actually, the Everett Farmers Market's also starting their Wednesday Farmers Market down by the Everett Station. So head on down there and check it out. There's also the yard that they've stood up recently, which is a pedestrianized street with AstroTurf, so that folks can just enjoy being outdoors in the summertime. So lots of good stuff happening down there. On Monday, I attended the Glacier View neighborhood meeting. They met pretty quickly after their initial meeting to elect the leadership for the group, and then they already have some big plans for neighborhood night out and a bunch of other great activities. So they are off and running, and their next meeting will be July 10th. If folks in the neighborhood would like to join. And I also heard recently that the Valley View neighborhood's also been reactivated. Their next meeting will be September 3rd. In September, they generally meet the third Tuesday of the month from 7 to 9 p.m. So now all 6 of my neighborhoods are meeting regularly. So makes for a busy month, but I love it. And then, let's see, next Wednesday, I believe, the 13th, our comprehensive plan team is going to be hosting an open house at Everett Community College. And it'll be from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Jackson Conference Center. So I really encourage folks to join, to ask questions, to learn more about the comp plan, and to share their vision for what they would like to see and what they would not like to see in Everett moving forward as we make this big planning document come to life. So put that on your calendar. And wanted, since I get to go first, I'm going to be the spoiler and say first, Sorticulture is this weekend. Very excited for that. It's my favorite activity in the summer in Everett. And also wanted to share happy birthday week to Councilmember Vogely.
Thank you. Councilmember Schwab.
Yeah, I too wanted to recognize John McCoy tonight. I also have known him for several years, and he was a very strong supporter of public safety, and really appreciate all the hard work that he's done on behalf of police and fire and EMS and emergency management and the 38th District and Snohomish County, and just gets bigger, and the state. He was just an amazing individual. And then also, I'd like, on a brighter note, the Faith Family Center, or the Faith Lutheran Church Family Faith Center, the funding is progressing for the Women and Children Center, so very excited about that. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Fosse.
Thank you. I also wanted to express my condolences to the family, friends, and colleagues of Senator McCoy. I was able to visit with him this weekend and get to express, you know, the great thanks from our community for a lot of the work that he has done and the great advocacy and just the service that he has provided to us in bringing forward a lot of voices that were missing from these arenas. And it really taught me a lot about the importance of representation. So my condolences go out to them, and I just wanted to express my appreciation again for the work that he has done for us and his great leadership. My apologies for not being here last week. My family had gotten sick, but we are all better now. Prior to that, I was able to attend the Marshallese Constitution Day celebration at Jackson Park, which was beautiful, and the first annual Snohomish Pride Festival. My family had a wonderful time there. It was a beautiful and welcoming experience that I think was exactly what our neighbors needed there. And so I'm really proud of my neighbors and everyone that put that together and put that on. I'm excited about Sorticulture coming up. I used to, in my former career, vend there, and I enjoy going every year. So I hope to see everybody there. Congratulations to our firefighters, and holy smokes, it was 9, right? 9, oh. And the last thing I think is just a happy birthday. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Zarlingo.
Well, just a brief congratulations to Chief DeMarco and administration for bringing in the new firefighters. Thank you very much, and nothing more from me.
Thank you, Councilmember Vogely. Happy birthday.
Thank you. It is indeed my birthday week tomorrow. You can call, text, or put an airplane in the sky with it. And rest in peace, and thank you for your service, Senator McCoy. Condolences to family, friends, and colleagues. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Toohey.
Yeah, I too want to just express my condolences to Senator McCoy's family, and appreciated Mary's thoughts as well as the colleagues up here. He did give a lot to our community at large in the state, and we will miss him and really appreciate the work that he did. And I just want to congratulate our new firefighters, and look forward to seeing them out doing things, and hopefully not coming to rescue any of us, but anyway, I really appreciate, I'm happy for you and happy for the city, so that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. And I too want to express my condolences over the passing of Senator John McCoy. He was a great man who did a lot for our community as well as our region. And my condolences to Jeannie, his wife, and his family. Last Sunday, I was able to attend the farmer's market downtown. It was really well attended, beautiful day. Got some great local ripe strawberries, so my favorite. I encourage everyone to go down there. I forgot they were doing it on Wednesdays now, so I will get down to that one as well. And with that, where do we move now here? We are going on to the administrative update. Do we have an administrative?
No update tonight.
Thank you. And our city attorney, Mr. Hall, what do you have for us this evening?
We're not requesting an executive session, but I would like to say a few words about one of our amazing employees. Mike Fisher is our most experienced prosecuting attorney. He's been with the city for nearly 25 years. He is the attorney in our prosecutor's office who the other lawyers go to for advice on difficult, complicated issues. He has a wealth of experience and wisdom and is a really invaluable member of our team. In December, Mike suffered a freak tragic accident. He slipped on the ice, broke his back, and lost the use of his legs. Mike happened to have the on-call phone that day. We always have a prosecutor with a phone that the officers 24 hours a day can call for emergency legal advice or to get a warrant. As Mike was headed into the emergency room, in spite of the stress and anxiety and excruciating pain, he had the wherewithal to make sure his wife passed the phone on to another prosecutor so that our officers did not have a gap in coverage. Very shortly after his surgery, he made it clear that he was determined to come back to work someday. After 5 months of rehabilitation, physical and occupational therapy to learn how to live and work in a wheelchair, and with the support of his really incredible family, his wife Mary, his son Grant, and his daughter Kendall, last week he came back to work. This morning he made his first court appearance, and we are just so inspired by Mike's determination, his story, and so grateful that he is back as a member of our team. I think it's worth remembering sometimes that we really do have some incredible employees here at the city, and Mike is certainly one of them. So I just wanted to thank him publicly. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That is an inspiring story. Yeah. Wow, we go on to our consent agenda. Before we pass the consent agenda, I just wanted to make a comment on item 5. I had sent out some information to council members about this letter of support. We are lending our support so that the city can get some funding to continue this wonderful program that we've had, the therapeutic court services. And I have asked Judge Leonard if she would come to a future council meeting and give us a briefing on this program as well as many of the other diversion programs and support programs that we're offering. She wasn't able to be here tonight, so I'm just hoping that we can all support this letter, get some funding, and then we will hear from her within the next month or so. We'll get her on a future meeting. With that, do I hear a motion to approve the 5 consent items?
Councilmember Ryan moves approval of the 5 consent agenda items, especially number 5.
Second the motion?
Any questions or comments? Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Ryan?
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab?
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse?
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo?
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely?
Yes.
Vice President Tui?
Yes.
President Schultz-Cipher?
Yes. We move to our action agenda. Item 6 is Council Bill 2305-32, third and final reading. Adopt an ordinance creating a special improvement project entitled Water Quality Retrofit Improvements, Fund 336, Program 036. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Ryan?
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab?
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse?
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo?
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely?
Yes.
Vice President Tui?
Yes.
President Schultz-Cipher?
Yes. Item 7, Council Bill 2305-33, third and final reading. Adopt an ordinance approving the appropriations of the 2023 revised City of Everett budget and amending ordinance number 3949-23. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. A motion and a second. This was briefed a couple weeks ago. Do you have any questions or comments? Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Ryan?
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab?
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse?
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo?
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely?
Yes.
Vice President Tui?
Yes.
President Schultz-Cipher?
Yes, and now we have a briefing. We have Lisa Lefevre here from the Port of Everett, Chief Executive Officer for the port. And I'm really happy to have you here tonight, Lisa. I walk down on the port property a lot, and there are a lot of wonderful things happening down there, and I appreciate that you're here to let us know what they all are.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Welcome on what seems like a summer evening, even though it's not quite summer. I don't know about you guys, but I'm extremely thankful for this weather after last spring. My boys play baseball quite a bit, and so sitting in the rain is not as fun as sitting in the sun, so I'm very much appreciative. I've got quite a number of slides, but don't worry, I will talk fast, and a lot of them are photos, but I just wanted to be able to show the council all of the activities on the waterfront, all ranging from Blue Heron Slough down to the Everett portion of the Mukilteo waterfront. So please don't hesitate to ask any questions as I'm going. I'm happy to answer them, or if you want me to answer them at the end, I'm happy to do that as well. So, all right, so this slide you've seen before, so I won't belabor it, but it is somewhat timely in the sense that we are a port district that is not countywide. We are governed by 3 port commissioners and our special purpose government. Our primary job is just to create jobs and create community, quality of life. We are not a general purpose government like the city or the county, so we have a very specific charge with our charter. We are the 2nd largest customs district in the state, thanks to our aerospace ties for trade, and we support over $30 billion in imports and exports annually. I'm very pleased to say that recently we've just received the Maritime Administration Strategic Seaport designation, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, but we are one of only 18 seaports in the entire nation that is capable of moving military cargoes through the Department of Defense. You have seen this slide before. I think I've showed this every year for probably the last 8+ years. But this is what we've been working towards and partnering with the city on, is this balanced waterfront, making sure that we support and embrace our working waterfront with the seaport and the Navy base, but then using that investment and that economic activity to really reinvest in our recreational waterfront to provide those quality of life elements for our community. So Destination Waterfront, this is probably the place where people can see the port operations the most. So I wanted to give an update, and there's a tremendous amount of activity happening down there, so I'll go through a little bit. Obviously, this is a large waterfront project. It's situated over 100 acres. We are between our leases with the Schuster Group and LPC West, which I just signed Thursday. I'll talk about that. I'm so excited. They're going to be investing over $1 billion of investment in the Everett waterfront, which obviously is a huge investment to the tax base and so forth for the city, the state, and our fire services as well. These are some of the investments we've made to be able to facilitate that private investment. Almost $300 million in cleanup, environmental improvements, dock improvements. It's all fill, so we had to rebuild all the bulkheads, all the riprap, raise it all out of the floodplain. It's taken quite a bit of time, and then also embracing the infrastructure in a way that ties to the history of the site with the commercial fishing, the Milltown industry, as well as our boat building industry. So what is opening this year? We have got the new Everett Yacht Club building, which was our old marina office. They're making those renovations. That should be open later this year. We also relocated their reciprocal moorage, so they've got their moorage right here, which is a great synergy to bring in visiting boaters and yacht clubs from all over the Puget Sound. There's actually 72 of them. Right now, only about 14 or 16 visit Everett. We're looking to grow that, and we think that's a great opportunity. We have Woods Coffee and Sound to Summit. We just celebrated the completion of the buildings last week. Sound to Summit is doing a soft opening tomorrow. They will open to the public on Friday. All the signs just went on today, so I was really excited to see that. And Woods Coffee will open a little bit later in June. Over here, we've got Fisherman Jack's and South Fork Bakery. They're going to be opening in early July. All the fencing just came down. They're just finishing their tenant improvements. Fisherman Jack's is a seafood-inspired Asian dim sum restaurant. South Fork Bakery is amazing, really good. It's a really good thing. There's lots of trails around the marina. I think that they're going to be used. And then we've got our marine retail. We've got a couple yacht brokers for our yacht area, as well as Freedom Boat Club. And this is a way of really getting people, particularly younger people, involved with boating without the tremendous cost. Everyone jokes that boat means bring on another 1,000. And so folks that want to be in the industry and want to recreate but can't really afford it, that gives them an opportunity to do so. We've got the historic Weyerhaeuser building that is being converted into a whiskey coffee bar. The building was actually built in 1923, and so it was the Weyerhaeuser's lumber showroom, so it's got a 2-story vault where all the money was stored. That's going to be a wine locker. And then all the rooms, all the different office rooms are different themes and renamed the original office names from back in 1923. And it's going to be designed as a speakeasy type. And so kind of a secret way to get into the whiskey bar. And it's also going to double as a museum. So we've got lots of historic elements tied throughout the entire building. So that's opening in early July. And then last and certainly not least, we're really excited about this, and it's a partnership with the city of Everett and Snohomish County, is we're building a brand new playground set at Jetty Landing, and I'll show you some photos. It's not a huge like at Legion Park. It's designed to be an amenity for those that are going out to the jetty or launching a boat. But there was 2 things that people have asked for at the waterfront that we haven't delivered so far. One of them is a playground set for kids. And then the other one is a dog park or dog recreating area, and I'm still working on that one. So what's coming in the near future? We've got a fuel dock replacement that's going to help with Navy, Coast Guard, all of the armed services, military, police, fire. They all use our fuel dock, and it's aging. And so we've got a grant to rebuild that. It'll also allow for tugs to fuel up there, and it provides a commercial pump out, which is wonderful for the environment and helps towards the no discharge zone in Puget Sound. This right here is the LPC West lease that I just signed on Thursday, and their first phase is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 housing units with ground floor retail. That's going to be their first option, but they're moving very quickly into office and retail on these parcels as well. So that work's going to be underway. We just got bids in yesterday for our new Millwright Loop Road that'll start construction later this year. And so you will see a tremendous amount of activity as we work to build out all of this infrastructure to be able to support this new development, which will go vertical probably sometime next year.
Lisa, quick question. Any of those units, are they all apartments or
Yeah,
any
so,
condos?
yeah, we get a lot of requests on condos and so forth. Unfortunately, what we've seen, we haven't seen a demand or an interest by the development community to do condos. And so it's one of those situations where it's the perfect's the enemy of the good. If we just continue to wait, then nothing gets built. So that's been a challenge. I mean, I'd love to see it eventually because people really want that opportunity. I'm hopeful as the project builds out, we will have this other phase of housing and destination activities, which who knows, by the time we get to phase 3, maybe things will have changed. But they will be, very nice apartment homes similar to Waterfront Place. Over here, we've got our destination retail. We're working on, we've got Covington Cellars, 2 Vintners signed. We just signed Hamilton Cellars yesterday. We've got several others in the works. We're hoping to have it fully leased by the end of summer and break ground next year on that destination retail. This will also provide a lot of green space and gathering spots to the South Marina. For those of you who've been there before, you can tell that there's a lot of asphalt and not a lot of green, so we're trying to bring back in the green, as well as provide a connection. We don't want the central marina to be to the detriment of our South Marina, which was our original development. So we want to activate this space so it creates activity and economic vibrancy all throughout the port. Later this year, we are breaking ground. I'm actually just working on the design for what we call A12 and A6, which is going to be next to Fisherman Jackson South Fork, as well as right here along West Marine View Drive. Just met with the fish market today. I'm really optimistic. We don't have any place where you can buy fresh fish here, so we are going to be doing that as well as Lazy Boy Brewing. And actually, we're also looking at adding kind of a grab-and-go fish and chip bar. We have interest by that as well. So I'm hoping that this building will be fully leased up within the next month or two. And then on this building right here, we've got Rustic Cork, Menchie's, and Anasoptera Spa. We are looking at adding probably a hamburger place as well for kind of more of the kid-friendly, where you've got the hamburgers and the ice cream with the splash fountain. But the neat thing about this building is because it is 2 stories, we are able to have Rustic Cork have 2 stories. And so we're going to have rooftop dining on that building, which is going to be really neat. And I think the only place in Snohomish County that we have that going forward. So these are just the photos. You can see that these are a little bit old. These are all going to be updated. We're at 30% design. We're moving into 60% design, trying to move these forward. This is the ribbon cutting we had with Woods, and this place is going to be really fun. I think that when this opens, they're going to be like, we wish we would have added more space, because it was already packed just for the ribbon cutting, and I suspect as people become more aware of it, it's going to grow even more. It's a really cool spot. This is just some examples of how the buildings could look. Now, I'll tell you that this artist rendering is a little, it won't look like this. With the way the geotech is on the site, the load bearing in that area is really challenging. Actually, the reason that there's that bow in the marina promenade is because when we were building the bulkhead originally, it failed. And so we're going to be actually pulling the buildings back, because from an infrastructure standpoint, it's more affordable for us to deliver the project faster. And so on Friday, we took a genie lift out there with my crew, had to make sure the views were still good back. And so they are actually better, surprisingly. This is the view of what it would be from the second floor of the tasting room. This is the Weyerhaeuser building that I mentioned. So this is actually an interior shot with the move underneath the bridge. That's an iconic photo, and they've actually built it in. So it's just an example of how we are incorporating all the history of the building and the mills and the Everett waterfront into this building. This is our bathroom facility. It's also got showers for the splash fountain. So if the kids, there's tons of kids out in the splash fountain today, if they need to shower off, there's a place for them to do that in this building, as well as a bathroom. Housing 1 is complete. It's completely full, which is why people are chomping at the bit for us to add more capacity to the waterfront. People are really enjoying it. This is a show of what we're working next on a high level. This is a rough design of how the office could be. It'd be about 120, 150,000 square feet of office, being designed in a way where you could have 1 major tenant or 3 smaller scale tenants to be able to drive and support the shared use parking strategy for the project, and then the housing. This is, I don't know if any of you guys have a boat in the Central Marina, or if you have friends that have boats in the Central Marina. I apologize in advance. There's not much we can do. We've done everything we can. It is going to be a little painful until we get the project and the construction complete, but we have club cart services, so you can actually park and then call, and our seasonals will take you to your boat and with all your stuff. So we're doing everything we can to make it as convenient as possible. And then when we rebuild and extend the promenade and rebuild the parking lot, we're actually going to put in gates like we have in the North Marina, so our boaters don't have to fight for their parking or have people get confused and park there, and then it turns into an ordeal. So this work's underway. It's going to be about an 18-month process. And then this is the third phase that I was talking about with Boxcar Park and a performance venue, and being able to adaptively reuse the old yacht club location. Any questions on Waterfront Place?
I have a question, Lisa. So the open grass area there, kind of by the Muse,
Yep.
so that is what I'm looking at there. That will remain open space.
It will. Yep.
Okay.
And it'll be built out. So we're actually going to move into the design of the park probably within the next year.
Okay.
But yeah, that's all. That whole that whole area is going
Okay.
to be park.
So the housing, where the yacht club currently stands, the housing will just be on that part. Is that correct?
The housing will be behind it.
Okay, so where the current yacht club building is, looks like you're gonna take that down.
That will. So we're going to preserve the overwater footprint so the trail can continue to go around. But it'll probably be, you know, a hotel, a high-end restaurant,
Okay.
spa, something like that, some hospitality focused.
Okay, but it's not gonna encroach further into the open space? Okay, perfect, thank you.
No, okay. And then just really quickly, working waterfront, we've been making a lot of strategic investments. During the pandemic, we finished our seaport modernization at the South Terminal as well as the KC cleanup in the Norton Terminal. It's about a $150 million investment to get these projects underway. The next big project we're going to be working on is the electrification of our Pier 3. We got a state grant for that. Right now, the shipyard operates under generators, and so we want to be able to put the electrification in there so that they can plug their ships and their dry dock into shore power. So that project will be underway next year. And then we have a major environmental cleanup with the Mill A cleanup. It's the old historic Warehouser plume of debris. So we've actually completed 250 acres of cleanup, so now we're moving to the in-water. This is just strategic seaport designation that I talked about and keeping our site moving. And the two major criteria that was needed to be able to do this was our seaport modernization at South Terminal for additional capacity, as well as the addition of the former Kimberly-Clark site. This is just an example of the types of cargo we handle. And we've been working with your team quite a bit on the Connecting Washington package for our heavy haul corridor, making sure we've got adequate turning radiuses on the West Marine View Drive to Pacific to Rucker to 41st corridor. You know, some of these wind energy projects that we handle, they have 150-foot turning radiuses. So real big impact in making sure that we can turn them without any impact on the city.
Lisa, on the former KC property, there's a lot of containers
Yes.
Sitting there. Is that the long-term use of that property? Because I thought you had other purposes for it.
No, we bought that property and did the cleanup and the adaptive reuse for future maritime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're just using that just temporarily for container hold? Or is that what you will be?
It's not container haul, it's cargo operations, yeah.
Okay.
So right now, just candidly, we went from a crazy pandemic where
Yeah.
there was ships stacking out at anchor and container rates were over $25,000 a container coming across the Pacific, and there was all this extra capacity to now they're below pre-pandemic rates. And so there's a lot of industry that's looking at seeing how they can repurpose a lot of this cargo. And so that's what we're trying to help facilitate right now.
Okay, so those containers, are they empty?
Yes,
Oh, my gosh, okay.
Yeah.
There are a lot of them.
there's a lot of them, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
And this is just the greening of the supply chain. So both our South Terminal, our Everett Pier 3, as well as the former KC site, we've wired for the future electric tugs so that we can be able to support electric harbor tugs as that technology comes online. And then as well as new cargo handling equipment that's more environmentally friendly and so forth, and quieter. And then just lastly, you've seen this chart before, but we continue to invest in waterfront development and trails. The last one we did was the Baywood Trail that I think a lot of people enjoy. And we'll continue. The next segment of public access is going to be in extending the trail in the Central Marina all the way down towards the old yacht club. So it's 20 feet wide. We also just expanded the north part of the trail to be over 10 feet wide. Before it was only 5 feet. So we're working on those. A lot of events coming up. We've announced our sail-in concerts, our sail-in movies, summer concert events, as well as Jetty Island Days. Neat thing about Jetty Island Days, I don't know if you guys did this last year or not, but there was reservations going out, no reservations coming in, and people would just grab their tickets so that they could preserve their opportunity to come in whenever they wanted to, and then people couldn't get off when they wanted to. So we actually have reservation system going to the island and coming back. So there's certainty this time. So I'm excited about that because when I bring my boys out there, there's nothing worse than cranky kids and stuck on an island.
Yeah,
so.
I appreciate that, Lisa. I actually announced that a couple weeks ago at council because I was so excited to see that you
Yeah.
had change
You
that.
get stuck out there once and you're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
nope.
Or the only boat back is the one that is leaving in 2 seconds, and you just got
Exactly.
there.
And then you're running, yeah.
Yeah.
And then just some marine upgrades that we've done. We've talked about all of these, but not only have we been investing in our seaport and real estate investment, we've also been doing about $165 million in marina improvements to keep updating the facilities and rebuilding them, modernizing them so that they're more environmentally friendly. And then obviously we have dredging because we're in a river channel, and that's just an unfortunate operating cost we have that other communities do not. This is the playground set that is starting. We're breaking ground on that next week, where the fences will start going up. It's designed after the historic equator. We've got Texas A&M down on site right now. So if you guys get a chance to stop by, their archaeological department's on site documenting, doing all LiDAR and everything on the boat. In 2017, the stern actually broke off the boat. And so we're really fortunate that we have someone to come in and a really reputable university to be able to document this history. And we're going to be taking that information and we're going to be putting in a big historical interpretive center in Waterfront Center next to Scuttlebutt this summer. And then along with the boat that is modeled after the equator, and it'll actually have equator on the back. And then they've got a kraken and an orca. So it's not much, but it's something, and I hope people will enjoy it.
Lisa, what is I maybe misunderstood, but what is the long-term plan for the actual equator boat? Will we preserve that, or you're just getting it documented to?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's too far. It's
Yeah,
too far decayed. We've looked. I mean, we've even looked at trying to even salvage a part of it. The whole thing will collapse. So it's documentation. We are looking at how we can, take it apart in a way where maybe the community can come grab a piece of the history. So we're getting quotes on that right now. But that might be kind of a fun way to keep a hold of some of the history.
Thank you.
And then last but not least, on the waterfront side of things, we are partnering with the city of Mukilteo to try to help with their waterfront redevelopment along with the Tulalip tribes. So we've led all of the planning efforts to date to be able to revitalize the Mukilteo waterfront. NOAA obviously didn't move forward with their project, which was really unfortunate. But as the legislation says, the land comes back to the port per the enabling legislation. So we want to make sure we don't waste an opportunity, and so trying to figure out how we can get this site back into productive use. What you're seeing here is this portion of it's on the city of Everett side of things. So this is now the Tulalip Tribes property. What we're proposing there is kind of a boutique hotel with a restaurant that's shaped as a longhouse that doubles as a museum with kind of fire pits and non-motorized access down to the beach. And then over on the NOAA site, we want to do something that honors the maritime, some kind of experiential nod to the maritime and underwater sea life, as well as restaurants, dining, and public spaces for people to enjoy their waterfront. And for those of you who've been down there, maybe a bathroom. I don't know. There's no bathroom, so they get some of those public amenities in there along with a big promenade and waterfront trail. So those are, and diving. It's a huge diving community, so looking at giving steps or some type of access down into the waterfront. So we've got that work underway and in discussions with the city for partnership, but because the property splits between the city of Everett and Mukilteo, there'll be a collaborative process on that, particularly on the tribal property right here. And then you guys have seen this chart before. These are just all the cleanups we've done. We breached Blue Heron Slough, which has been fantastic. I drove by the other day and it's doing its job, and it's providing the safe harbor for all of these juvenile salmons to grow strong so that they go out and feed our orcas and make sure our ecosystem's strong. So that's an exciting project that we just opened in September. And then workforce, I know I'm so glad to see all the firefighters, but I don't know about you guys, but we've been having a hard time with workforce, not only with us hiring, but also our shipyard, being able to find skilled workers. So really trying to invest in apprenticeship programs and on-site training and really getting the youth involved and into the port in a meaningful way. And so we'll continue to grow that program and those partnerships as we go. And we just opened up an exhibit in the Children's Museum, so hopefully trying to get people to know what the word port means and why it's important to them. And sorry, it took too much time, but last but not least, there's a lot going on. We are exploring boundary expansion. As I mentioned earlier, the Port of Everett is not a countywide port. During our centennial, we looked at why was the port created the way we were when every one of our surrounding cities are countywide. Could not figure it out. So our commission asked us to do an assessment to find out what is the interest in expanding into other areas of the county. Right now, we don't even take in all of Everett. We don't take in all of Mukilteo. We take in parts of unincorporated. Hat Island, ironically, is in the Port District. I don't know how that happened, but it's in there. And so it's just a lot of, it creates a lot of confusion, and it does put our region at a competitive, our Snohomish County at a competitive disadvantage because we don't have as much resources to leverage economic development as our partners to the north and south of us. So we will be doing outreach. We're going to be, we're talking with all the mayors and the county executive and the county council members, as well as we're going to be doing a big public outreach, just seeing what the community thinks and wants. The way the process works is any boundary expansion has to be contiguous. It has to first be passed by the commission, then it would have to be passed by the county council, and then it would have to be passed by 50% plus one of the area, the folks that are being asked to be part of the Port District. So,
Lisa, for that boundary expansion, are you thinking or looking at the possibility of adding commission members?
yeah, so if that's a good question. If the you probably remember back in 2010, there was an effort to expand the commission and reduce the terms, and that failed by over 65%. Just given the size of our district, it really didn't make sense, and I think people saw it, the governance structure fit the size of our district. If we were to expand and it was approved, then that would then trigger a redistricting and a 5-member commission. So right now, if the port were created today, we wouldn't be able to be created because of the size of our county, but for a countywide port. And if you're over 400,000 people, you're required to have 5 members. Right now, we're about 100,000 people.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? Councilmember Zarlingo.
In terms of the vote, that vote would actually happen then largely outside of the city limits of Everett.
Yeah, that's the weird way the law was set up. So obviously, the current Port District residents would benefit, right? Because people outside the current Port District are getting the value of the seaport investments in the waterfront place and so forth. But the way it's structured, current Port District residents do not get to vote.
Yeah, I asked because I'm in that category.
Yeah.
I had a question about the greening and electrification of the port. I guess I've heard concerns in some communities, obviously with the big cargo ships idling and burning diesel or bunker fuel and going to shore power instead. I guess that's one aspect of electrification, maybe associated with the getting rid of the generators you were talking about. Is that something that the port needs to push, or is that something that the shippers would like to have so they can shut those engines off?
Yeah.
Is it?
That's a great question and probably a multi-billion-dollar question. So South Terminal is wired for shore power. We put it in, we were actually one of the first, and definitely the first of our size, to put in that infrastructure investment. Challenge is, there is no international standard for shore power right now. So for the very large container lines and the very large cruise ships, it's pretty standard. They've standardized those because they're very large, they're in port for a long time, and they can make that connection. They don't have that for the rest of the industry. So the port, not only Port of Everett, but the industry as a whole, has been pushing the International Maritime Organization to really standardize that shore power so that we can actually achieve the goals that we're trying to. I will say, though, I think it's going to happen before that if they don't make a standard, because California's just required all ships coming into port to be able to plug in. And they're the largest container complex on the West Coast, so anyone that wants to go into LA Long Beach is going to want to be ready for it, and then Washington State will benefit from that. So,
Thank you.
yeah. But yeah, I would like to have it sooner rather than later.
Yes, for sure. Councilmember Ryan.
Great. Great to see you, Lisa.
Good to see you.
You had me at Whiskey Bar, so thanks for joining today. I did want to also mention, in addition to 2022 Port of the Year, that the port was the 2023 Job Creator of the Year by the Washington Public Ports Association for its $40 million Norton Terminal project, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I also had a question. So with the NOAA project that didn't end up working out, one of the elements that they were thinking about including in their project was like a interactive touch tank type of thing, or a way for like younger people or adults like me to like a small aquarium, basically. So I was curious if there's been discussions about doing that, even though NOAA wasn't able to move forward with their project.
That's a great question. Yes, so I've actually been having meetings with different, when NOAA first said that they weren't moving forward and we were going to get the property back, I actually reached out some colleagues at the Seattle Aquarium to talk about how is there a partnership potential, and/or is there any ideas that they have where we can still connect people to the waterfront? You know, the neat thing about NOAA is that site was actually the longest water quality monitoring site in the Puget Sound, and they lost all that data when that went away. And so trying to adhere to the vision of bringing people and research to the waterfront is something that we really want to make sure happens for that site. It's just a matter of finding the right tenant. So I suspect at some point we'll be going out for qualifications for that type of use and seeing probably requests for information, see what kind of feedback we get on what's the universe of the possible down there.
Great. Yeah, I think a small aquarium of some type would just be a great way to celebrate our maritime history and a great partnership with our tribes too, for the work that they've always done.
I
with
think of Seaside,
restoration.
the Seaside Aquarium, you
Totally.
know, it's just, it's not very big, but it's fun and, yeah,
Great, thank you.
definitely something we're looking at.
Good. Any other questions or comments? Well, thank you for coming, Lisa. You've got a lot of great information, and we appreciate all the work that you're doing down there. How long have you been executive director now at the port?
18 years at the port, 5 years in this role. And then,
Congratulations. You're doing a lot of good stuff for our community, and we really appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And that brings us to the end of our agenda. So with no executive session and no further business, we are now adjourned.